On this episode of Hudson Valley Hustle, I'm joined by Raphael Castro, owner of the Movement Lab NY, also known as the Lifting Doc on social media. Raph is a sports chiropractor in Rockland County, started his own business almost 15 years ago. It's a good story. Hope you enjoy. Did I see on your Instagram profile that you're a bear owner?
Yes, I have a little dog. We call him Bear. So
I was like, this guy's a tough guy. He's a lifter, chiropractor, deals with athletes, and then it says bear owner, and I'm like, is it literal? No. Okay. All right. I was just making sure. So what is it the Lifting Doc?
The Lifting Doc is my personal brand,
Gotcha.
And then Movement Lab NY is the actual office.
Gotcha. So by trade, are you a chiropractor?
Yes, I'm by trade a sports chiropractor.
Gotcha. And you've been doing that for
15 years.
That's wild. How did you get into sports specifically?
When I was doing all the training for it, I just like taking care of athletes a lot more, and it was more the goal set of someone coming in and being like, hey, I either hurt myself in some type of sport, or I'm training for a marathon or something, and I want to get back to that, and I'm not happy that. As opposed to the general population that's like, well, I get pain when I'm sitting around all day. And it's like, that's not really the most interesting thing to work with. And that's just a harder population to be like, well, you do nothing. So there's a lot to go with.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So you originally wanted to become a chiropractor? Is
Yes.
that what you originally wanted to? Okay. Gotcha. So did you start off on your own right when you, I guess, graduated or got certified, or how does that all work?
So most chiropractors do own their own practice, but I tried to associate with someone actually over in Westchester, and the guy made me go through like 3 interviews, and it was supposed to be like this high-end office and a great opportunity. And within like 1 week, I was like, the guy was just basically a shyster. Like everything was just pure money. It had nothing to do with any type of patient care or client care. And I was like, I didn't want any part of it. So after that, I quickly was just like, you know what, I'm just going to try to do my own thing. And I searched around and found a guy who had open space, an older guy practicing, and was like, I'm only here half the week if you want to try to build your own thing. So that's how I got into my own practice.
Gotcha. So did you have a book of business already, or did you kind of start from zero?
No, zero. Not the smartest move in the
Well, I mean, you got to start somewhere. It's usually zero, right? If you're starting your own business. But so how did you get your first couple of clients?
It really is just a lot of word of mouth. I went, I'm a very social person. Definitely the gym was my main source. So I would just go talk, and then, people would be like, oh, and like I tweak something. I'm like, oh, try these things. And if you need something, I'm in the office. But I'm not a hard sell by any measure. But the other way was really, I got into a lot of networking groups when that was a little bigger. So like the BNIs and all that.
Oh, okay.
So one-on-one, I generally do really well. I like, talking with people. But the networking was the big one for me at the time.
Gotcha. Dude, I've been invited to so many BNI groups. And for me, so I'm, as much as I put myself out there and do this kind of stuff and talk to business owners and put out content all the time, I'm actually kind of like an introvert, right? It's kind of weird, but I'm kind of introvert. One-on-one, I'm like spectacular. Like this is where I thrive. I love doing this kind of stuff. But you put me in a group, especially in like a kind of like a regimented, everybody has to talk to everybody. I'm like, that's just not my thing. And plus all the meetings were at like 6:45 in the morning, which I'm not particularly a morning person like that, but
neither am I.
but for some people that love to do that, those kind of groups are definitely pretty valuable.
No, you know what? I still have clients, and a lot of those clients have turned into friends from those groups. But even more recently, people will be like, oh, did you come back? And I'm like, no. Like the demographics I'm looking for and the people who are still doing a lot of BNIs just aren't resonating with my clientele and what I go with. It's just the BNIs, they're still profitable for a lot of businesses, but they're an older clientele. I do very well off of social media, and just, I think, bang for buck, it's still, creating your own content and putting it out there. There's nothing better.
Yeah. So, and well, you said you also niche down to athletes, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine that's a little bit harder to find in, in a generalized group where you can have like a plumber, a banker, a candlestick maker, all sitting around the same room. It's probably not.
You had a candlestick maker in your group?
I don't. I'm sure there was. I'm sure there was. Maybe even a butcher or two. I don't know. But no, that makes a lot of sense. Did you, when you decided that you wanted to focus only on athletes, do you think that helped your business or made it harder?
It helped it in the sense of, like most people, when you come out, you can't go overly detailed on what you want. You kind of have to
take what you can get.
Yeah,
when
no,
you start.
exactly.
Yeah.
I basically did the wide catch approach. I took everybody, and then as I was filling up, and I would cut certain insurances and just be like, I'm not taking these, the city insurance. They just don't pay enough, and it's too much time. And I would keep whittling it down. But I also realized probably like 3 or 4 years in, when I was more confident, the practice was building really nicely as I became more myself. So, I was called, I had the State Farm outfit on when I used to practice. It was, khaki pants and a polo, and, I was trying to look very professional. And, I play like generic music. You come into the office now, my dog is always with me. There's rock music or rap music on. I'm in gym shorts and a, t-shirt. It's just more me, and that just brings in more people, and that being more authentic, and also just diving in and being like, this is who I want to treat. This is, what I enjoy. People just, kind of get pulled to you and like, oh yeah, like this is a fun place and what you're doing is really fun. And what other place do you have like 2 dogs running around all the time?
Well, you look like the people that you're taking care of, right? Like that's their personality, it's their vibe, it's their feel. Mm-hmm. They walk in, they feel comfortable there because they feel like it's a familiar place for them. They're cool with it. And I imagine I'm a pretty tense guy. If I go to a chiropractor, which I've never been to, by the way, I'm probably going to walk in there like more tense than than I've ever been. So being in a place like yours that's got the right music playing and you look like, an approachable dude, probably makes a difference to athletes, I would think.
No, it does, and it adds into that whole feel, and we have just an awesome experience, awesome atmosphere compared to most offices, and I'm not better or worse than anyone. I'm just a different style for a particular type of clientele. So
you work with any golfers?
Yeah, golfers are big. My biggest clientele is actually really like CrossFit is still gigantic. Before the pandemic, I took care of, they call their CrossFit businesses boxes. So I was actually up here in Orange County quite a bit because I would take care of numerous ones, but I think I was up to like either 19 or 20 CrossFit boxes where I was their, provider for almost everything.
Gotcha.
So it was a huge business, and it's just, a high level recreational athlete, but I have almost everything else. I have Olympic and professional athletes, which is not my mainstay. I'm still in Rockland County. I just don't have access to that many people. But we do have a few guys that come through, or they come up from like Bergen County and stuff. But we have athletes from across the board. But it's CrossFit, runners, all types of lifters would be like the mainstay. And then we have everything in between. And for some god-awful reason, a ton of pickleball injuries.
Pickleball injuries.
Yeah,
What are people hurting playing pickleball? Because it intrigues me. Pickleball intrigues me, and I don't know if it's just because like I'm pushing 40 and like this is so I'm a huge golfer. Like that's what I do. That's why I asked about the golf, because my lower back is always killing me. But pickleball intrigues me. How are people getting hurt?
So there's 2 reasons for injuries in those types of sports. Pickleball is a little different, but golf is similar. The reason being is all these towns are putting in pickleball courts and it's becoming more popular. But what happens during the winter time, late fall? No one does shit. And then spring comes around and it's like, hey, let's go play 8 games of pickleball. Oh, why does my back kill me? Well, you went from complete sedentary to now I'm trying to kill it, and you're surprised that you're hurt. Same thing with golf. Haven't done anything. Weather's finally getting nice. Let's go play a full 18 holes. And my back is just wrenched. And it's like, well, you didn't kind of gently go back into it. You just went full blast. So it's a lot on people. The only thing with golf that makes it a little more difficult, and I like it, but any one-sided sport, so swinging sports like golf, bowling, your baseball, they just beat us up because we're not balanced. And once again, if we're working normal jobs and everything, it's a lot of pressure. So a lot of athletes that just come in any type of swing sport, a lot of times we're just like, dude, just try to take some swings before and after you play, opposite arm. You're not going to look pretty. It's not the whole game. But that does kind of help to unwind you from constantly using one side. And then there's some, obviously rehab stuff that we can do when injuries are further. But, it is what it is.
So after I'm done playing, just take a bunch of left-handed swings just to kind of even out the other side. That's actually pretty good.
Even before you begin, you want to do a few. And then afterwards, it really does help because when you activate those muscles on the opposite side, they help kind of balance everything out. It's a tug of war. If you're swinging, 18 holes worth, and your right side is just, now it's getting a little pull. It's just pulling everything a little tighter, and the likelihood of it kind of straining or you overdoing something is higher, especially as we up the age.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm like, I just woke up. Why does my back hurt? This is not.
Well, you also have children, so
this is not. Yeah, it's true. It's true. No, it's funny you say that because most golfers don't. Yeah, they don't do anything from November up here in the Northeast anyway. November to April, they're just not doing anything. So, this is personal anecdote here. I built a simulator in my garage, so you can tell my wife it's to keep me healthier.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Doctor recommended.
See, there you go. So now I think we've accomplished a lot in this episode so far. No, but that's good advice. I like that. I'm going to definitely do that because I'm going to probably try to play tomorrow, and I'll warm up on the right side too. But anyway, yeah. So it's not, aside from the chiropractic end of things, do you have a team of employees or how does it work?
So I have a whole team. So we have acupuncture, massage, physical therapy, and we'll have like a physician assistant in the office as well again. But we have everybody, so it's not just me. And I'm a firm believer that no matter how good I am or anyone is, you just need help from different people, and just to also have an amazing team. So a lot of times, if I can't figure something out, I'll call over my physical therapist and just ask them to run through things. And usually, they bring up things that you don't see. So it's an amazing thing. And it's a little half and half business wise, because some of the team members are just like ICs. They just rent from me.
Okay.
And that's one time. And then some of the people I have actual business relationships. So we actually like split things, and there's percentages and the whole nine. So it's a little interesting. I think my office would pretty much be classified as like a clinical we share. So I fill up all the spaces. I have the guy I bought everything from real estate wise. He still rents from me in his like semi-retirement. So he practices whenever I'm not there in the mornings. So
does everybody in your building have the same goal of working with athletes, or do they?
They're similar in the sense of the main clientele is younger and more active, but I'm probably the most like focused on the full athlete, police officer, correction guys. Those are our physical therapist is a little bit more wide stream, so she still takes care of some Medicare. She likes her older people. But even, when she gets people who come in, they're the more active older person. So they're still doing a lot. When we get someone who's just the complete, I don't do anything, they tend never to last in the office that long. And it might be because of me screaming in the background. But all our, we have like an 83-year-old that still runs like the New York City Marathon. When they, like,
that's awesome.
They're all active. And most of the guys that come in, like, they're the people I want to be when I get to that age. So.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So you said you bought the space that you were originally renting from.
Yeah.
Is that right? So how big of an undertaking was that? Was that a big risk for you? Was it?
No,
did it make sense?
It made complete sense, and I was there for almost like 10 years. The problem I had, like I think a lot of people do, is you're kind of scared to take that extra jump because it's like, oh, now everything's on me. And especially when you're renting, it's like, I was definitely overpaying at some point. The guy I bought everything from, he's basically retired, so he doesn't care. But, he didn't put like $1 in. And there was a real issue with that because people would come in, and I was building a very nice clientele, but like the office just looked, it looked like someone died on the carpets. There was wallpaper. It just was outdated. So you're trying to offer this premium service and get paid for it in a premium way, but yet the office didn't match the style. So it was literally COVID, like March 2020, I was supposed to, put pen to paper and buy everything, and then everything started shutting down. So that was the only time where I was like, yeah, we're going to hold off because I don't know if we're closed, open, whatever. And then I think 3 months later or so, or 4 months into August, everything, we were able to be open, business was good. I signed, I wrecked the entire place, complete gut job. And by the time we reopened in like October, I think I had already seen like my business was just fast tracking to like double. By the next year, it was like triple what I already had.
That's nuts.
But it was just because it matched the style that I was always presenting, but now it made more sense, The
facility matched it,
Yeah.
right? The facility matched what your energy. Yeah, but do you also think, when everything started to open up, people were just so eager to get back out there and like do things like that?
Yeah, no, it definitely helped. Like I never closed fully. I went down to like 2 days a week, and to my wife's like complete. Like she was so angry because she was like, I don't want to get sick. Like, please be careful. Everyone I saw was like a heavy COVID exposure. Nurses, doctors, policemen. Like it was everyone who was still working.
Still working, yeah.
But those are the people who were way overstressed.
Their bodies were getting destroyed, yeah.
So, we would go to the office. I would take care of these people. And then I'd go home and my wife would make me like strip in the garage and go straight to the shower. Like she would. But then when people started coming back out, we were busier because also too, it was like people were working from home and in proper workstations. So it's like, yeah, work's kind of hard, but when you're doing everything from the dining room table or your couch and you're like, why is my back killing me? It's like, well, you're not meant to sit on your couch doing work for 8 hours. Like that was really crushing people. So we did see the increase from just COVID in general. So that was nice.
Yeah.
But I think it was everything combined.
It's like a perfect storm for you. Like it just worked out perfectly.
And when we reopened, I practiced by myself beforehand with the older guy. So like when he wasn't there, I was there.
Oh, okay.
But that was it. He didn't want anyone else in the office.
You didn't have the other services at that time? Gotcha.
Yeah. So when I redid everything, I had already had people who had agreed to come in, and everyone did. So it was just a busier, more active office in general because there's always someone there for the acupuncture or the massage, the physical therapy. And the thing that was great about that was it's also just a great business generator because even if someone wasn't there, for the massage, it was like, well, what do you guys do in this room over here? This looks really nice. And be like, oh, it's our massage room. And this is Maricel. And, she really, she does deep tissue and sports massage. That's her thing. And people, oh, I've been looking. Boom. Like the referrals
kind of feeds
back
itself,
and forth.
right?
Yeah.
That's great.
So that was a wonderful, I should have done this years ago. That was the big mistake in my book was within like 2 months of opening back up. I was like, I should have done this years ago.
Yeah. You're kind of like, I think you're kind of like a rare instance where you kind of started off on your own. Right. Whereas, a lot of times, a lot of people that I talked to, they were like, well, I was working for this person and I hated doing it. I thought I could do it better on my own. You just kind of like you kind of jumped in with both feet.
You know what it is too with it? It's like in the PT Chiro world, anybody who's in healthcare will generally know that they feed on their young. So you get these young associates come in and yes, they don't know a lot. But they just abuse the shit out of them. And I saw that at that one office I was at for like a week. And I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to work my ass off for nothing. And then have to basically be in the same position in 5 years when I build up the nerve. So I just said, fuck it. I'm just going to go for it, and it did. It paid off. It was not easy. I remember it may be the second or third month I'm seeing a few people, but I remember like looking at like the books and being like, I made like $200 in a week. Fuck my life. Like,
that math don't math.
Yeah, the math isn't math. And you're just like, dude, the loans, everything. You're like, no one, because usually when you see these offices and everything, it's when people have been out for 15 years and it's like, oh, everything's moving. This is good. No one shows you their office when you're sitting there waiting for people to show up and you're like, I've done all the paperwork that there is to do. It's a thing that really gets you when you're first out. And, Now it's completely different, of course. You're always busy, and when you're not busy, you're like, oh, great, I have like time to actually like catch up on something.
Yeah.
So it definitely is an interesting field that not a lot of people talk about.
No, and I think that's honestly that's one of the reasons why I started this, because like everybody thinks that, not everybody, but many people think that doing your own thing is this big glamorous thing. You go from 0 to 100, and it's just cash and Lambos for you know what I mean. But that's why I want to really just show the real side of what it is to do your own thing, and I love when people start their own thing, and I want to hear about it. That's why I'm doing this. Yeah. Because like you said, nobody talks about sitting around waiting for customers and looking at the books at the end of the month and not having enough money at the end of it.
Yeah, as I get older, the people I trust the most are usually other business owners. I have lots of clients that own varying size businesses, some that are ginormous, some are small. But I really like their advice and their just their general conversations, because they understand it, as opposed to when you have someone who just works for somebody and they're like, oh, this is what I would do. And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. You've never done anything. And when it's your money on the line and your time and energy, and it's more the time and energy. Money is easy, it's the time and energy. One of my friends goes, oh, I saw your hours, you don't work that much. And I go, dude, that's me seeing people. That's not the paperwork hours. That's also not the business hours to do all the shit on the background. I go, it all sounds good until you get a thin letter in the mail from the IRS. And it doesn't mean anything bad. It's an address update, but you have a small heart attack while you're opening that.
Dude. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get something from the Department of Labor. I'm like, what the hell do they want now?
Dude, I've been getting letters from the Department of Labor for years. Somehow I have a small balance. It's like $2.50. They send me a letter every month, and I'm always like, what is this fucking thing? And
it's great.
You're like, can this just be balanced out somehow? Because you don't want to see any of those letters, because you don't know if it's some stupid thing. Years ago, and I have very little issues. I hope there's some type of wood here, but I had a payroll issue with New York State, and I had one part-time employee, and they wanted $5,000 from me, and thankfully I had a whole payroll company and they took care of it. But when you get a letter that's New York State saying $5,000, and that's when that would probably have cashed me out. And it's well, bro, what did I didn't do anything. People don't understand that stress is insane. So when I have these friends, and as you know, your clients, bigger businesses, and you're like, dude, I can only imagine opening up a letter and seeing them demanding $100,000 for something. Yeah. You're like, wait, I'm trying to do everything that I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, and that's I think people generally try to do the right thing. And I think it's the outside forces that make it freaking impossible for us to do the right thing, right? And it's the forces that we can't control, right? It's the big brother, it's the state or the government. It just makes shit easy for us, and we'll pay our stuff. It's not, you know what I mean? It just make it simple. You don't want to get that letter that you owe.
No,
it's stupid.
No, I pay good money to accountants who are a lot smarter than me.
Right.
And I'm always like, dude, I don't want to play around. I don't want the headache. I don't want to get the letter. I don't want to have a heart attack. I can't do that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So just tell me a little bit about how you're getting your clientele now. Because I know when you're first starting out, you take everything, right? But now that you've kind of really focused down on who you want to serve, how are they finding you? How are you getting new clients?
My new clients are really word of mouth from current clients. I have enough, gyms, trainers, the police force I'm heavy with in Rockland. And social media. Social media is still my 80%. So I don't even post all that much, which is a fault of mine. But kids and everything, I'll use every excuse. My wife tells me I'm a lazy fuck for that. And she's right. You're right, babe. But, it is true. I post, a video, and it's something simple, you get pain while doing certain lifting things, try to work on these things, and someone will always contact me and be like, I have been having issues, no one's been able, I'm making an appointment with you. And I'm like, fuck, if I just do that. But it's also part of the issue is I just get really busy, and then you don't think about it. And then, when you do have some downtime, you're like, shit, I should have been doing this to keep everything steady. But It's social media by far is.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's great. And it's cool because everybody's on social. but you're talking to a very specific audience. Yeah. So that to me, we do social. That's primarily what we spend all of our time in all these apps every single day. And we see it every day. But I need more people to tell other business owners, stop dicking around and get on this thing, because you can get customers from this if you do it properly.
And it's not just a few. I mean, I still have a super small following. Like, I built it up to like 6,000 followers. Nothing. That is still an amazing,
If 5,000 people called you tomorrow, you wouldn't be able to handle it.
Exactly. I just did this thing like a year ago where I just did T-shirts. I'm a little chiropractor. Like, people like me, but you're
not a little chiropractor.
No, but I have my brand. The lifting doc is my personal brand. So I put it on Instagram. Hey, we got new T-shirts coming in, like 3 colors. I sold like 200 T-shirts.
No shit.
Out of I'm sure it's mostly my dog that everyone likes in the office, but like a lot of those were just from DMs. And there are some people I've never met that just follow me. Yeah, they like the stories and everything, and they're like, "Oh, dude, you mind sending me like I'll pay you, just ship the shirts to me?" And I'm like, "Cool, I've never met you, but like once again, just that is the beauty of like social media, And there's
I love it. Yeah, that's great. That's awesome, man. I love it. What's been when you first started? Were you married at the time, or were you single when you started? Or
I was single when I started.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm always interested to hear like the spouse's take on so are you the risk taker in the relationship, or?
I'm probably more the risk taker.
Yeah. Okay. How does that work out? Because I'm always interested in that.
My wife is an amazing woman. Like, when we first started dating, and we met online. Funny enough,
okay.
Online, everything. I don't really drink. That's just no one in my family really does. So like meeting someone randomly at the bar wasn't going to happen. And I try really hard never to be that guy at the gym that was going to like hit on the 2 females that were there. So I went online, and eventually I met my wife, and she was just, we were young at the time. I was 27, she was 24. But this was a woman who had her shit together and was a go-getter. But she is the stable, very structured like corporate job. Like, she's a chemist and she's management level, but like she has she's very analytical, so she has all her ducks in a row. The best part is that she provides our insurance, so as a small business owner, that covers my ass.
It's expensive.
Yeah, and anybody who has their business and has that knows how crazy important that is. But when things come up, I bounce ideas off of her all the time. And, I'm the one, I'm like, dude, I have this crazy thing. And she'll be like, okay, but what about this? And what about this? And it's not in the negative side. It's just, okay, like, you got to think this through and everything. Mm-hmm. But she's also the one, I actually had a pretty big business opportunity recently, but I turned it down. It was to expand the office, but it was just too big of an expansion. And I was going to really try to make it work, but she was just like, come on, like, you gotta sometimes take that fucking jump. And I was like, that's cool, but the bankroll isn't there yet to support that type of risk. But you need that person to bounce things up and down. Yeah. The only thing that's hard in our relationship, sometimes go back and forth, is when you have someone who's corporate, like my wife, and they don't understand the days off and the vacation stuff, because it's like, for them, it's like, I got my sick days, I got my days off. And for pretty much every business owner, it's like, yeah, if I don't work, I generally just don't make money. I'm at a position now where I'm not losing money because other people are generating some stuff, but it's not the same. So like, if we want to take off, I'm like, hey, there's certain times of year that we have natural lulls and things. Sure. Great. But like, I'm not one to be like, I want to take off all the time and do all these things. I like working. So, there is that ebb and flow of, being like, yeah, even though I could, and I will take off for like my children, certain things, but other than that, I'm like, I got to work. I got to be in the office. There's always stuff to do, and I have a little crazier schedule because I generally don't work a lot of mornings. So my wife's always like, you have the whole morning free. And I'm like, yeah, but I was at the office just doing paperwork. Like,
sure.
So, sometimes it's like, well, I thought you were just working these hours. So.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that, again, nobody tells you. Like, you don't have your set 2 weeks off or whatever it is that you could take, your paid leave, sick time, whatever it is. This is your baby.
Yeah.
if you're not there, you're not taking care of it, right?
Yeah. And it's also hard in a service industry where, when most people are seeing you, and most of my guys are not in dire pain, but they're like, trying to do service. But when you disappear for 2 or 3 weeks, you try and take that big vacation. Then someone comes and they're like, oh, dude, you're not here for another week and a half.
Yeah,
that pisses people off. So
that's the hard thing. I think that's the hard thing when you're the product.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're providing that service. Like you said, you have other sources of revenue coming in because you have other, kind of people in the building. But when you are the product, if you're not there, you ain't getting paid. The clients need it, right?
Yeah.
Like you said. So you can't take 3 weeks off and, travel and do whatever you want to do because you'll lose people. I mean, because if they need the service, they're going to find it, right?
Yeah. No, and listen, there's other people, and you try to have backups. Like I try not to take vacations when everyone else in the office is taking. So at least my PT is there, or someone else can at least hey, come in. We'll at least try to calm everything down and get you. But it's hard because also too, you need vacations and you need to dip out and everything.
Yeah, of course. But, you got to do that, man. Like it's important. It's important.
But it's the balance. That's the hard part of any business is what's the right thing.
Yeah, and there really is no right thing, I don't think, because it's different for every business. But I've told this a couple times, but when I first started out, I would let people reach me anytime, right? Stupid move, right? Like now, 5:30 comes, I'm not answering you.
Oh,
I'm just not doing it.
See, I disagree. Everyone has my cell number. You can contact me at any time. Doesn't mean I will respond.
Yeah.
I'm still an asshole by nature, but
but see, like some people that's cool, some people it's not. And if I work with somebody new, I let them know. I'm like, hey, you can reach us when we're here. We're here. When I'm home, I'm not here.
Yeah.
There is no advertising emergency.
I will say for the most part, I've never been abused by it. It's like, number one, it's like a lot of my clients become friends, but it's like, you're a police officer and like you took a trip down the stairs the wrong way, chasing somebody, and you call me and you're like, dude, I wrenched my back. It's Sunday. It's like, yeah, dude, meet me at the office. Like that's just part of the gig.
Yeah, if that's the way it works. Sure.
If someone's like, I kinked my neck and it's 11 o'clock at night, I'm like, well, yeah, come in tomorrow, asshole. Once again, I haven't ever had anyone really like abuse it or to the point where I'm like, oh my God. But for the most part, it is. Everyone has my cell number and that's fine. Or even then, I'm like, it's just a DM away. Like I get DMs all the time and people are like, dude, you responded at like 12:30. I was like, I got toddlers. Like I'm
right.
up at all.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true. You're in a different stage of raising
Parenthood,
kids.
yeah.
Yeah, that's because that's a whole nother freaking episode about that. But before we start to wrap up, I guess I want to know, is there anything that you would recommend to somebody that was in your shoes 14 years ago, 15 years ago that is thinking about making a leap, taking the jump to start their own thing? What kind of advice do you give to them?
Take the jump. Do it, but do it smart. I still think that the right avenue is to start small. Well, especially if you have to have a brick mortar type facility, start smaller. Keep it very nice, clean, upkept, but small. It's always better to be busting at the seams than it is to have that giant empty space of nothingness because you just look like you're not busy at the time. And then, as I said before, like be more yourself. Like let your own personality come through. Today, I think more people want that. I think that's why social media does so well because you see the person on the other side of the product, and you're like, oh, like, yeah, Raph's a nut job, but he is in the gym and he is trying to like get this done every day, and he gets the trying to keep in shape while having kids and everything else going on. It is a lot. So I think just being authentic is one of the best things you can do in business.
I love it, man. This is great. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you or find you online, how can they get in touch with you?
The best way is social media. The Lifting Doc is my Instagram handle. I'm rarely on Facebook because I'm not old. And then my website for the general office is movementlabny.com. Cool. And it's like a giant link tree for every service in there, but that will lead you back to me anyways.
Okay,
but,
cool.
Everybody there is awesome.
You on TikTok?
I am, but I don't do a lot, and I know I need to just plug that in and
Dude.
make it
The lifting talk, like, come on, like it writes itself, man.
It's funny because all social media, like people send me all the chiro videos and the cracking, and I go,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still a little hesitant to do certain videos because I'm like, dude, I know that I'm a giant individual, and it just doesn't look the same, So.
That's funny.
We're getting there.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Well, this has been fun, man. Good luck to you. I'm happy to meet you. This was fun.
Yeah.
And give him a follow. And if you're an athlete looking for some help, give Raph a call.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.